If you want to grow, you must let go. As a woman, and that's the first thing we teach, what is true freedom? The truth is, how can you live your life now as if you are ready to sell tomorrow? Because now, and this is what happened to me, I realized that I need to live the life that I want. And what did I want? I just wanted to spend more time with the kids. I wanted to spend more time traveling. I wanted to spend more time with you, Heather, chit-chatting. And this is exactly what your team wants. They want the same thing. So if you build a company that doesn't depend on you as an owner, be there all the time. That's what freedom it is.
25 years ago, Ronit Enos opened a salon in Boston that went on to be named Best Salon in America and win Best of Boston 6 times over. While our industry loves to celebrate the artist at the top of the chair, Ronit represents the quieter work, making sure a business outlives its best year and teaching owners that being booked solid is not the same as being free. She's the author of the bestseller Profit First for Salons, with over 7,000 copies sold and reviews calling it the only business book they've ever actually finished. She founded Salon Cadence, which is an education implementation company, because she believes that advice without execution is just expensive noise. Her clients have grown more than $10 million in combined top-line revenue, built 6-figure profits, taken real vacations, and finally have had the time to sit down and enjoy dinner with their families without their phone in hand. That is the freedom that she helps to create. Her mantra, mindset, growth, and freedom. Brazen and Bold listeners, I am so pleased to welcome my friend Ronit Enos to the show. Thanks for joining us, Ronit.
Hey, Heather, it's so good to be here. It's about time. I feel like I'm in your living room, literally in your living room. That's how we should do it next. We got to be in your living room.
So we record actually this is my bedroom. This is a corner nook of my bedroom where I like to record. I know I have an office, but it is all wood flooring, even though I put rugs and things to handle the acoustics. It didn't matter. So I get to have this, I just put a little nook. Also, I have cats and I have a dog and I have humans. And so they are locked safely away. And in my office, they could free flow too often. So this works out really well. You're basically in my living room. You're just here joining me for this.
Now, yes. No, we went even more into it. Now I'm in your bedroom.
We're just going to crawl under the covers and have a sleepover. This is our slumber party and snuggles, and, takes me back to like 7th and 8th grade, hanging out with your girlfriends and talking about the boys you like or the girls you like and the things you do. So anyway, welcome to the show. And honestly, we have had, between the first time I met you and finally having the privilege to interview you for my show, we've had countless conversations, it seems, about business, about life, connecting at different events throughout the industry. And so it just feels like it's about time to get something on camera.
Yeah, it's fun. I love it.
Yeah, I'm so happy you're here. Yes, of course. So, speaking of Profit First, we're going to start with that big one. And the fact that it's the first business book that many people have said they ever completed. When I became a salon owner, I wish I could remember who. I actually feel terrible to tell you, I do not. But somebody gave that book to me as a congratulations, you're a salon owner, just an intro, like a gift. And I read that probably within the first few weeks of being a brand new salon owner. So before I knew
didn't
you,
know that.
Yeah. Which is kind of awesome. And I remember when I met you, I was like, oh, I know you. I read your book. Play cool. Keep it cool, Heather. I probably didn't keep it cool. I think I met you in Scottsdale at Data Driven a couple years back. Is that where we first connected?
Yes, we did. I mean, I can't believe it's been that long time ago. It was great. I think it was love at first sight.
That's definitely friendship at first sight. I remember I was supposed to go back in and work, like we had a booth, Spark was one of the sponsors, and I went out and I had lunch, and I sat down, you invited me to sit with you. I got to meet Nicole and several of your other friends, people that work with Salon Cadence. And pretty soon, we got sucked into a conversation. I never left that table, I think, for 3 or 4 hours, except for to get more water. And I finally texted Lucy and said, I'm not coming back inside. This is where I want to be. So thank you, Lucy, for running that booth. But I don't think there could have been a better place to sit. And I believe Gail Fulbright from Encinitas Headline Salon was there. I think She came and sat down at the table too that day. So it just feels like
Yeah,
I met some of my favorite people.
we had a few good people there. Ariel was there. Gosh, who's from Tennessee? He's got a big, beautiful spa.
Kip,
Uh,
Kip
Kip,
Dotson.
that's
Yeah.
it. Kip,
Yep.
Kip was
Yep.
there. So it was a good conversation, really good conversation, very good table, very insightful. So many smart people over there. It's always so good to just talk and just get to know each other and build something new. And it's been what? I think it's been 3 years. Could it be 3 years or just 2 years? Or
I
maybe a
think
year.
so. Nope. So Spark is 2.5 years old, and my very
Okay.
first event was data driven in Denver. So that's how it's like BC
Yeah.
AD. Like
Yes.
that's my division of time is when I
Yeah.
started
So it's a
Spark.
year. So
It's been a year
it's
and a
a
half. That's it.
yeah, yeah, yeah. Wow.
So
Well,
we've
here
had
we
many conversations. Yeah, here we are. And I mean, it's always you've always been so approachable and generous. I know I usually catch up on work calls. I sometimes will have drives out to California. I still spend some time back and forth between Southern California and where I live full time in Arizona. And I think a lot of times you might have texted me a week before we connected and, hey, how are you doing? Let's catch up. So I call you on one of my drives. So I feel like you're my like road trip buddy. And maybe you don't know that, but keeping me company on the drive. And we talk about life or about business. And you've been there, done that with so many different things. And not only that, like I mentioned, you are incredibly generous and you have a passion for building a community as well as helping elevate and lift others in being able to get more of the same freedom that you've enjoyed. So I have valued and enjoyed every one of our conversations. And I think, especially right now, I want to touch on like at this phase of your life of where you're at, having built a salon and sold it, having worked with Salon Cadence, having developed a podcast, written a book, a lot of different high impact things. Um, what are you most excited or passionate about right now? Like what's happening in your life that is making you the most energized?
Oh, it's a great question. First of all, macaroni, my book, my dog. We just got a new Aussie about a year ago, and he just makes me so happy. So he's the sweetest thing. That's macaroni. So every day it's my dog. I love him to death. Um, what gets me every day in the morning to get up and start my day is really thinking about I love business, as an entrepreneur and always been an entrepreneur. Um, somebody asked me one time, "What's your hobbies? What do you like to do for hobbies?" And I always say, "What do you mean? I'm an entrepreneur. That's my hobby. I just love working." And so I do that just gets me energized every day, building ecosystem for any women entrepreneurs that are thriving to really build companies that not only make an impact in other people's life and not only that make an impact in their community, but literally it impacts their own life. That's just oh my god, that just turns me on like nothing else. And recently, which is when I say recently, I would say 3 years ago, um, I started learning AI. Everything to do with artificial intelligence, robotics. As a matter of fact, I would even go backwards. And I said, when we used to live in Cambridge, and I used to be a mentor at one of the Cambridge universities, I got to meet a robotic expert teaching a professor in Brown University. And back then, I was introduced to that world. And back then, I was already so intrigued and scared, actually, of what's coming, what's going to happen next. And so we're talking about 2018. This is how far back. And so 4 years ago, I signed myself into a certification, learning more about artificial intelligence. And I just that just excite me. I'm just so innovative, and I love our whole company. What we implemented is a certain amount of hours that we dedicated ourselves 3 years ago to learn about artificial intelligence. And more than that, how can we use that and implement that within our clients and our companies, and just to the world, just teach how you can use certain tools to really buy 20 hours of your time, but then become more profitable. And by doing that, I just, you just become happier. So more profitable. So that's it. And I love traveling. So, traveling is something that gets me excited. So planning ahead is really great. So that's where I dedicate most of my time.
You mentioned, okay, so Macaroni, who's very cute. I have met him and seen him on camera. And then I think when we met in Scottsdale, you had just come back from Thailand, maybe it was on 3 weeks or a long vacation, and you had just come back into town, right?
Yeah, flew right from Bangkok straight to Scottsdale.
Okay, I wasn't mistaken. So you definitely have made good on that. And I'd like to understand a little bit too of your origin story from founding a Maxime salon, growing it to 7 figures, selling it, and transitioning more into leading business owners through what you teach. Um, what what got you started to begin with in the industry, and then what do you think, like, as you can look back at a theme of what pulled you into this direction of now teaching others, and what kind of freedom have you found since the beginning of when you founded your salon
You
and then
know,
sold it?
it started when I was a little kid, growing in a house that my mother and my father were constantly fighting. I grew up in a house that just fought all the time about money, and I grew up thinking money is a bad thing, and my father was really um, very rigid and very frugal, or should I even say he was very stingy. Okay, that was my dad. And um, so he made me, literally every time I came back from school, he made me go to my room and not come out of my room until I knew my multiplication, until I knew my grammar. And literally, I really thought that I just, I'm not good enough. And I grew up thinking I'm never going to be good enough at numbers. I'm never going to be good enough to go to school. Maybe I'm not good enough at school. Maybe I'm just academically challenged. And I realized years later that it was the experience that I had back at home that made me feel this way. So I took it to my adult life, and I built 5 businesses. And over the course of the years, and e- every time that I built a business, I didn't look in my numbers, because I always thought, I don't need to know the numbers. I don't need to know math in order to be successful in building a business. Over the years, one of the one of the love of my life always was beauty and wellness and fashion. And I love the vibe of being in a salon. I love the vibe of going to a spa, going to a med spa. I just love wellness. I'm everything about going to the gym, working out, anti-aging, always look young, feel young. But really, when you are running a company and running a business, and um, and you really want to be successful, I tapped my growth. I can only grow so much. And what I realized that in order for me to really grow my company or any business I went into, is I really have to understand the art of business, the art of the numbers. And so even though I thought I wasn't smart, and that I was very creative, and I love the people business, whether I run a catering company, whether I run a wedding coordinator company. So no matter what, I love the people of it, just being there. And I always thought that people come first, until I realize that people do come first, but without a profit and without having the right cash flow, you're not going to be sustainable. So I made a decision. I just went to learn more about numbers, and I fell in love with numbers, and I realized that everything was in my head. That due to my experience of being in the room until I was really smart enough to come out to show and prove to my dad that I do understand multiplication, which never helped me afterwards anyhow. I had to do to make that move. And once the kids came along, and I had two children, and they're babies, and they grow up. I figure out that if I want to be successful, that means that I do get to spend time with the kids, that I do get to travel, that I bring enough paycheck to make it all worth it. And that didn't happen in the years. And so as an entrepreneur, you make a choice. Do you want to work with a team, or do you want to work by yourself? But even when you work by yourself today, you still need you still need uh, a bookkeeper. You still need an accountant. You still need an external team. So you need to learn how to work with the external team if you want to grow. And so in order to do that, it is most important to have the profit of people, and people do come first. In order to scale, I realized that if I want to have people in my team, I have to step away from running um, my chair or running my business or being the operator, and start really building um, my company, that I'm allowing my team to grow as much as I wanted to grow. So shared vision is a big concept. And so that's it. That's how I decided no more being an operator. I need to really build a team that I understand what's their number one dream. What do they want in life? And how much money they want to make? And how many weeks they want to be off? And what turns them on as terms of creativity, and what turns them off? And once we figured that one out, we built a space where that all became a synergy. And that's how things gotten better for me. I start living my life and being with the kids later in life, because I did miss a lot of great moments when they were younger. But that was the start. So beauty, wellness, and wealth and good mindset comes from practicing that belief. So that's kind of like how we build it. And so going into a business academy, that's what we built with Cadence Business. Our mission was to help women um, tell the story, and the story would be a good time, freedom of time, that they can not only have a time for themselves, but also the team have time for themselves. And so that's what we're all about.
How long ago did that, would you feel like you kind of completed that where you were able to step away from being the operator to have more time to be able to connect and so forth? How many years ago did that solidify for you?
Um, what do you mean by that? Like,
Like you said, you were working nonstop. You were in the thick of it as the operator, and you realized you wanted to shift. And then around, like, was it around the time when you sold the salon, or was it before? Did you keep the salon and just start really leading your team more? And
oh,
how many years ago was that?
a long time ago. So yes, I didn't have only salon. I built, like I said, a catering company. I built um, you know, a wedding events coordinator party. I even sold a cake recipe. So I've always been in that type of, I want to build something with a team. You know why? I hate being alone. I love being with people. I think my biggest issue has always been I hate being alone. So as I grow up, I never wanted to be alone. And I also wanted to build a community, and just, that's an ecosystem of people that are mind like it. And so I knew that's what I needed to do, but it was a dance. Get out of being the operator, start building your team, start building a company, go back to being an operator. So it was like that yo-yo dance, back and forth and back and forth. But at one point, I realized that I am super selfish if I'm going to continue doing that. And selfish to my family, selfish to my body. I mean, I literally um, gave up so many things. I gave up yoga. I gave up all the things that I love doing only because I felt like I was the number one and I need to be there all the time and people need me all the time. And I tried it, Heather, many years, many times. And every company that I did, I got better. Every month, I got better at putting boundaries in place. And when it really happened, when I made the full transition, is when my son went away and I wanted to be with him. He did something really unique, and I wanted to be with him as a mother. And he was 18 years old. Um, and I told my team, I said, I would love to not only go visit him, I would like to be with him for 2, 3 months. And they all said, just do it, Ronit. We got this. Just go ahead and do it. We got this. And I did. I went for 3 months. I rented an apartment. I was there for my son. And when I came back after 3 months, it was like I wasn't even belong to that company anymore. That they did amazing. I mean, there were some things that didn't work and we needed to fix. But what I've learned is that I wasn't the most important person in this company. As a matter of fact, the team was. And so, yeah, so that was probably in, about 5 years before, 4 years before we end up selling.
Amazing. I mean, and think about as a buyer coming in to purchase a business that can effectively run without the person who owns it. That is a business that someone wants to buy. That is a business worth selling. Um, and just so many people, as you're speaking about this, I think most people would have sheer panic to imagine not being in the day to day hands in the mess of the business, running it every day, and to step away for that 2 or 3 month period is really brave, but also I love that you're like, and you came back and it was fine and they didn't need you after all. And to some people that could like be such a blow to them. Like, this is my identity. This is my baby. I've poured myself into it. And, we both have children. You mentioned your son moving on to do something interesting and being there to support him. The goal of a parent is to raise adults who are well adjusted, who do not need their parents every day. That is the objective. And it sounds like growing your business baby into something that didn't need you every single day was a similar type of accomplishment where, yeah, you got to find out what to do with your time now. But I think so many people, even just hearing that, oh, could I really take 2 months off and go rent an Airbnb and be somewhere else? Oh my goodness. How many people would just, you know, have an absolute panic attack? That's so powerful though.
Right. And we all have to do it. If you want to grow, you must let go. If you want to grow, you must let go. And if you, as a woman, and that's the first thing we teach, that you gotta, what is true freedom? And I know you talked about selling a company and being more valuable, but 85% of all companies do not sell. They do not exit. Maybe they pass along the company to their family, maybe to their employees, maybe their friends, maybe they just want to close doors, no big deal. Maybe, they decided that this was not what they want to do anymore and they just want to do something different. It's all good. But we need to know that 85% is not, companies don't sell. It doesn't matter what size. A small size company considered 22 millions and under. So if you think about it, 85% do not sell. But the truth is, how can you live your life now as if you are ready to sell tomorrow? Because now, and this is what happened to me, I realized that I need to live the life that I want. And what did I want? I just wanted to spend more time with the kids. I wanted to spend more time traveling. I wanted to spend more time with you, Heather, chit chatting. And this is exactly what your team wants. They want the same thing. They don't want anything different. Maybe one wants to buy a house, maybe one wants to buy a nicer car. But at the end of the day, we all want the same thing. So if you build a company that doesn't depend on you as an owner, be there all the time. If you build a company that doesn't depend on you being there, the main financial and the producer that the companies depends on, that's what freedom it is. And it happened to be that years from now you can sell it or transfer. Wonderful. But if not, it's okay too, because if you think about it, if you build a company that produce $1 million a year, $500,000 a year in a course of 10 years, it's $10 million. You know,
It's good
it's a
enough,
lot of money.
right? That's good
Yeah.
enough. And then to be able to live, I like not waiting for some far off day, which there are things that it's like, okay, well, I need to wait for this thing to now go and be able to be gone for 3 months. But how do I, you know, look at ways to incorporate that now to enjoy more pause or more rest or more connection with the people that matter to me? I hear over and over how important people are and connecting is to you. And that's significant and tremendous. And I think that that's everything. Having that kind of capacity for you.
People are working so hard to do better. And when they go into their life, they never ask themselves what better really looks like. You know,
Yeah.
what buys happiness? And there is no perfection. And I am a perfectionist. And I always try to do better and improve and all the time to do better. Which you know, the 1 to 5 method
Yes.
is what we practice. But the it's sometimes we just stop. We need to stop and think, what is it that's going to make you happier? And I went to this class when I sold the company and when it was done, um, I was really scared because I didn't really have very clear vision of what I want to take all my knowledge and go next. What I did know is that I loved yoga and I love positive thinking and I love neuroscience and I love
Same,
math.
same,
I
same,
love
same,
numbers.
same.
Same tick,
However,
tick, tick.
I like numbers, but I don't like math. But it's okay. It's we
Well, I
everything
fell
up
in
on there
love.
checks out.
You know, that's the thing. I fell in love with numbers. And so what I did is I decided back then that I am not going to waste my time. So what does that mean? I woke up at every day. I made agreement with myself. I woke up at every day at 4 o'clock in the morning. And at 4:30, I was writing. At 6:30, I was at the gym. At 7:30, I was back. And at that point, I knew I had a complete setup. I enrolled myself to 3 courses and the subject that I wanted to do. And I decided this is my time to do all the things that I never done before. And I always wanted to do them. For
Perfect.
example, you want to let me just give you the story. This is a fun story. I love cooking. Cooking is my maybe hobby. And I love entertaining. I love bringing people in and I love to put people together. And I love cooking so much. And so I said to myself when I was, running one of the, Maxim Salon, I said to myself, I really want one day to own a bread and breakfast or, you know what I want to own? I want to own that type of a place that couples are coming to learn how to cook together. And I will have one day of couples, married couple, one day is get to know, maybe you'll be married one day couple, one night gay night cooking, one night singles. I just wanted to have cooking places where people come together because I believe that when you cook, that's when magic happens. So, but I never did that. I always thought I want to have, but I never really done that. So when I was done, And I took my time off. I literally went to this restaurant down the street that I knew that they were doing a cooking lesson. And I pitched them that idea. And I said, can I become your chef? Can I do this with you? And guess what? I was so excited about it that they hired me on the spot, like literally hired on the spot. And and then I'm like, okay, I'm gonna organize this. I'm gonna do this. And then I saw myself again doing the Ronit thing, just starting to get busy again. And really, what I wanted to do is I wanted to take a year just to study, to take my time. But what I proved to myself back then that I can do whatever I want. And there are people out there that always want what you have to offer. So the next day I called them and I said, no, I'm not going to do it. Thank you. But
But
it
you could do it
was,
if you wanted to.
I could do it if I wanted to. And that is the whole point. The whole point is in order to know how you want to live your life, you got to really write down what would be your perfect day like? What would be your perfect week like? What would be your perfect month? What would be your perfect year? And how do you want to do your life? And that might be a cliche, but that's exactly what you need to do. And then you want to put down how much money do you want to make? What would you do with that money? And once you know all these questions and you can answer them, then you can plan. Now you got a plan. And most of the time, we don't stop to think, what do we want? How we want to show up? How we want to live our life? Balancing acts with life, marriage, kids, whatever, work, especially women, because we always take on self so much responsibility. And so the one thing that we do when we have our clients join our programs is that our biggest goal is that they will be able to take 1 week off every month.
Oh, that's amazing.
Every month, just to do the deep work, you know.
And most people would be like, you've lost your mind. That's not possible. It's an incredible luxury. And it's taking off 3 months a year. But thinking about the capacity that you could increase or grow, the amount of intentionality you could put into your business, even realizing you reference so many things. I mean, you tee up, you are preaching, you are evangelizing for what I'm passionate about with Spark, which is helping people to delegate, to not be the bottleneck and get into their, getting out of their own way for their growth and for their business. And I think what you add to that component of getting so specific and very clear around what does that perfect day, week, and month look like? How much money am I making? What am I doing with that money? Great. Now I see exactly a clear picture of what it is that I want, where I'm going. And now I can paint the picture back into it of how I'm going to accomplish that. And I think that that's so powerful. That's something that you invited me to do not too long ago on a discussion, and I've done it before. Probably 2.5, 3 years ago when I first got separated, and I was in the process of concluding my 20-year marriage, and it was like, well, what do I want now, and how is that going to
Wow.
look, right? And
Yes.
it was a
Yeah.
lot to. And I
Wow.
spent. I honestly, I probably spent about a week a month in Southern California. I had a friend with a place there, and I was in. Uh, it was devastating. I mean, still
Yeah.
is devastating, but it was devastating and heartbreaking. And
Oh, it's
I chose
20 years. It's 20
20
years is a
years to
long time.
unwind.
8 years is a long time. Even 2 years is a long time.
A month. It was the best month of my life, and I'm still grieving it. No, I'm just. But yeah, I get. I'm like, Dory. What was I supposed to be sad about right now? But no, I chose to conclude my marriage, but it didn't make it any less sad. Maybe it was even more sad because I was the one choosing it. I was
Right.
making that difficult choice that I think ultimately was for the best interest of my children and my former spouse and myself, to set us all free from an unhealthy dynamic. That being said, it was like drowning, dying, and running a business at the same time with 3 children to boot. And that's
Yes.
what it felt like in my brain and body. And I don't want to minimize it or downplay how overwhelming and heartbreaking that season
It
was and
is.
all the things that led up to it. By the same token, I can look back at it and talk about it like it was 5 different lifetimes ago, because I slowed down. I don't know if you know this about turbulence, but the pilot slows the plane down. It
Yes.
actually helps get through the turbulence with less bumps. And so I slowed it down big time. Now when I was working, I was balls to the wall because I had so much to do. I was
Yes.
running two businesses at the time. But I would go to stay at my friend's guest house, and that's such a luxury and a privilege that I had that ability to have a safe place to go, to be by the beach. I love nature. I love being outside, but I would sit and I would write, and
Yeah.
I would be
So
I
good.
would be able to just connect with my own soul, with what I wanted. And I would journal, and I would think about, well, what do I want my life to look like now? And what is my dream day and week? And I might not have broken it down so specifically, but I want to have nature in it. I want to have a quiet time to meditate. As you're mentioning the things that you like and that matter to you, I want to be at yoga once a week at least and moving my body meaningfully every day
True.
as often as possible in nature. I love food also. Haven't gotten back into cooking. I've been too busy, but I love cooking, and we have a lot of similarities. Now I know why we get along so well, but all these things. And I slowed down enough to do that. And I think it helped me navigate that otherwise
Yes.
incredibly
You were
tumultuous
pushing
time period.
forward. Yes.
Yeah, but it wasn't like, it wasn't numbing out. It wasn't like, I'm just gonna
Right.
ignore this and do something to distract myself. It was really getting clear on what I wanted. And then all the things that I needed, I knew I needed to read more and consistently go to therapy and find amazing mentors and friends like you and different people in that space that are doing things that I wanted to do. But now I was talking to Nicole, and that's somebody on Ronit's team earlier before we recorded. And telling her every morning I have a slow morning. I take as long as I can to get out of bed. I wake up very early. And then I go
Yeah.
downstairs and I meditate on my back porch, and I'm with my dog. I love my dog, not Macaroni, but Maggie, and spending time with her. And then breathing in, and sometimes I'll journal, I'll meditate, I'll read. But just taking that time, and I realized as I was writing down, based on your recent questions, what does that perfect day, month, week, year, income look like? And I was like, I'm doing it a lot of the time now. And that
Mm-hmm.
was so nice to see. I had originally written that idea 2.5 years ago or so. And then now to look at, it's been nearly 3 years.
And I
I'm
bet you
I'm able
accomplished
to,
that.
not fully, but I am
Yeah.
so well on my path and much closer than I could even imagine. And I was like, and maybe even doing that follow-up journal exercise at your prompting was not maybe to get me to think about where I want to be, but to realize I'm getting there. It was
Yeah.
so humbling to take that time. And so, you're talking about this, it's mindset, it's being thoughtful, and it's being clear. And something I want to ask about, you talk about like the luxury
Yes.
mindset, like that
Yeah.
luxury concept. I would
Yes.
love for you to
You
share more
have
about
to
like,
have that.
what does that mean to you? What does that mean to you? And how
Well,
does that look?
in many ways, we don't allow ourselves as human to think luxury and to think. And when I think luxury, and then I'll bring it into business, and then I'll bring it into life. So,
Yeah.
for example, when you build a service-based company where you're B2C, but you're in a brick and mortar, you're not like online, where we are is more B2B. We're talking about the B2C, and where you're facing your clients and all of that. You got to think about what does luxury means to your customer. So, and that means that what does luxury means to you when you identify the word luxury? What does it mean? And what does a luxury means to your customer? So maybe perhaps a luxury means to somebody just being amazingly pampered. To me, luxury means I'm walking into a place that it is freaking gorgeous. It's gorgeous. It's beautiful. You can eat off the floor. Okay, like you can go to the bathroom and have your hair blown out in the bathroom because it's so beautiful and it's so clean
Yeah.
and it's so great. And so luxury to me means I want to get that feeling, um, and I don't mind how much it costs. I want that feeling of being for the 1 hour, the 2 hours that I'm going to spend with you. I want to feel amazing. So it's like that the thought behind, do I want to go and be at the, stay at the Hilton, or stay at the Marriott Courtyard, or do I want to stay at the Four Seasons? Why? Because it's just cost me so much money. Not because that when the conception of if you're going to be in a luxury environment, it's going to cost you a lot of money. It's
Mhm.
it's the preference of being in a luxury mindset. And if we teach our team to think like that and to feel it, and we can promise it to our clients to be in a luxury place, then I think you would have people that are willing to spend any kind of a dime to feel that amazing feeling. And it is about feeling, it is about the experience. So if you ask your team, what does luxury mindset mean to you? And have them describe that and ask them, well, if you had to pay $1,000 for an hour to have that, what would that $1,000 buy you? And let them describe that. And I would guarantee you, it's never going to be about, oh, I'm going to get the best haircut or the best color, or I'm going to walk and look like Marilyn Monroe or Jennifer Aniston. It's going to be about the feeling. And so think like a luxury mindset. That's kind of like where it comes to work, in every type of work. And when it comes to life, luxury mindset is to become not just wealthy with richness, like money wise, but being able to actually spend that time in the luxury life that you want for yourself. So it's not about, hey, let me take a week off every month so I can drink margaritas on the beach daily. It's about taking that week off and spend time on me, on the company, on thinking the deep work. That's luxury because it's time. And time
Yeah,
is
and
everything.
I think I might have even said something like, "You're insane. That's a luxury. No one can do that," which I don't really think. I just know that that's what I might have thought years ago, but it's a luxury, and it's a luxury you can't afford to overlook, to take the time to reinvest and to build your own thoughts, your own inner world, your own health, your own mindset, and then reinvest into your business. I have been called more and more recently to a slower pace. I am not slow paced. I do not think slow. I do not talk slow. I do not move slow.
Fast. We love fast.
People people will ask me, they're like, "Are you in a hurry?" I'm like, "No, I just move like I'm in a hurry." And so I've been trying this paradox with slowing down. And I don't slow down a lot of things, and I won't slow down a lot of things, but I'm going to slow down the things that I can and even just practice what it feels like to live slower, to feel softer. Even a recent situation I was faced where I would say the older me, or younger me, I should say, the me from years gone by, might have faced that situation with a bit more intensity, or like a wall, that wall of defensiveness, or pushing through something. And instead, I sat and I was like, what do I really want right now? How do I want to show up? And I allowed myself to soften and soften more into my body and soften deeper into feeling. Because what I like to do is bring
I love
everything up
your
into my head.
body. I love your body. You look amazing. And I know how much you're taking care of your body, everybody
Well,
should.
thank you. Thank you. But I mean, the soul inside, you know what I mean? Like softening, I normally would be like, I'm going to bring this up into my head. I'm going to troubleshoot and spin it around like a puzzle. I'm going to do those math equations like in the room until I'm done with it, and then I'll be able to leave. And so I allowed myself to just like bring it down into my body and soften, and then feel what I was feeling. And I was like, that's what slowing down the practice has helped me be able to do. So then when I'm in a heightened situation, whether it's with a loved one or a colleague or a child, one of my children, not somebody else's, like you can tell your own kid off. I'll just deal with mine. But when I get in those experiences now, I'm trying to soften more and be in
Mm-hmm.
what I'm feeling versus in a problem solving mode. And there are always problems to be solved, but beyond that, there's people to be loved, there's people to be connected with. So slowing down on purpose is helping me do those things. It doesn't mean I move slower, talk slower, or have less fire energy, but I'm able to practice that. So when the occasion calls for it, I can do that instead. And that could sound like a luxury, but what it really is invaluable, and it's such an important way to
100%.
live life. Yeah, I
Yeah.
love that, and I'm very grateful that you share that kind of an insight. Um, you have the 5 phases of growth is something that you talk about and that you have invested in. Will you share a little bit about those 5 phases? Maybe a little bit about each phase, or the name of the phases, what they mean to you, or something along those lines. Hey, business owners. Yes, you. I know you're juggling it all: marketing, admin tasks, websites, podcasts, social media. The list never ends. That's where Spark comes in. We're a virtual assistant company built just for small business owners, because once you're able to delegate, we know you'll be able to dominate. Our clients are seeing up to 30% increase in social media engagement and sales, all by letting us handle the behind the scenes work. Not to mention an incredible boost in flexibility, profit, and time. So scan the QR code right now to schedule a free chat with my team. Let's make you efficient AF and help you focus on what you do best: growing and leading your business.
Yeah, my mom always told me that a woman dies and reborn every 10 years. Just dies and reborn every 10 years. And like literally every decade. And what does it mean? It's every 10 years, we need something to feel alive again, to just do something, to explore. So everything that you learned and take with you for 10 years is only going to make you go to the next 10 years better and stronger and more confident. But with the question before that, what's next? What's next? And it's a wonderful question because it digs inside your stomach and it doesn't let you sleep until you figure out what is next to you. And sometimes we have a little bit of clarity, but not quite of a clarity because we don't take the time to really get clear. And then life takes us to that place. So when it comes to life and living your life, you have to understand that when you open a door, you never know what's happening behind that door. You just open the door and you walk into another hall, and whatever comes your way, you're going to face it. But it is scary to open the door and go through that door many times. And we take our time to get there. The same thing goes with your business. There are 5 phases in growth in any kind of a business, and it happens if you're an independent and you started your company, whether you're working for someone or where you're working for yourself by yourself. There's only so much growth you can do by yourself. So you hire a little team. So maybe you have a bookkeeper, maybe you have a video content creator, maybe you have something like this. It's a small little team. There's so much you can sell, because if you sell your time, there's so much you can sell. Of course, if you're influencers or you're selling a product online, you would think that you're not selling your time, but you're still selling your time. Now, the next phase is what we call it, is the pioneer phase. This is when now you have a little smaller, it's not only selling your time, you're selling your team time. So you have also 2 or 3 or 4 team members. Maybe you have a receptionist, maybe you have an accountant, a bookkeeper, maybe you have now a few more team members. So what happens now? You're also working as an operator, but you're also helping a team. Plus, you have your life. See what happens. So in order to go to the pioneer stage, you have to just slowly move to that stage. That's phase number 2. The third phase is the most critical phase. This is when you make a decision, getting out of the carousel of, am I always going to be directly involved with operation or with directly with a team, or am I going to build a team that is made out of leaders that can make decisions on their own and they don't need you? As long as you dare to make decisions and you're the one who makes decisions, you are owning you're not owning your time. The business own your time. So this is the third phase, and I call it the warrior phase, because your job is to fire yourself from phase 1, to fire yourself from phase 2, and leave thoroughly in phase 3, where you're leading your team and teaching them how to make decisions on their own. So there go phase 3. It's critical because this is where we get stuck for years. And this is where we're not profitable. This is where we gain weight or lose a lot of weight. This is where we miss a lot of important moments with our children. This is where all we
We
do is
stopped
work.
sleeping.
We stop sleeping.
I
And
have
if
I have
life
an
throws,
eczema. I have
I
an
have
eczema flare up
eczema.
and a stomach ache and an ulcer just thinking about it. That's what happened to me. I'm serious. I had an eczema flare up on my leg, the whole size of the bottom half of my shin
Yeah,
for 2 years. It's
either that, or
terrible.
you drink margaritas every night, you drink wine every night because it makes you feel good, or you just eat the bucket of ice cream. Literally,
Why
that's what
choose
happened.
one?
So here's
Yeah.
something that once you get to the point that you move from a warrior, what we call it the Jedi phase, that's phase 4. Now you have a team that make decisions. Now your responsibility is to develop them continuously and make sure that you create wealth in their company. So when the
Yeah.
question comes, what is it first, people or profit? I say the both have to go together. They have to be together because in order to afford complete phase 4, you have to have the cash flow to afford that. And so that's where the sticky point. That's when you OD on ice cream. You go on vacation for a week to I don't know where you think it's going to be amazing, but the first minute that you get on the beach, you're on the phone, you're on the computer, you're just not on vacation. Or when you come back home, now you have catch up time because you have not had somebody to drive the company without you. And so
Yeah.
it is extremely hard. Typically, it happens between the 700,000 to 1.5 million that you are in that critical stage. And that's the stage that cash flow is everything and people is along the way.
Yeah. What's the stage 5? What's the last stage called?
That's when you can scale. See, most people think that the word scale is growing, making more money, but scaling is being able to reproduce the same thing with a less amount of time. So that's when you are now can either buy properties, you can open a second location, 5 location. And I'll give you a story. Brandy came to us 4 years ago, and she had a barber shop, a hair salon, and a waxing bar. And she was like a genie, and she was like she had the carpet, and she was on one salon in one day, the other salon in one day, people coming and going, just chaos, like not even organized chaos. And we had to go through a year to literally have her narrow down and get into, find out which is the one that is bringing her the 20/80 rule, the most profit.
Pareto's principle.
Yeah,
Yep.
exactly, for the least amount of time. And we
Yep.
closed a couple places. We had to focus on first. And once she got to a place where she maximized her 2 location, she like starting to lose fun. Now she's running 2 places. She maximized her location, and she's like starting to do the office-sidest thing, like looking at things that are not better and trying to make them perfect, and office-sidest thing. So finally I said, you have good numbers. You got an amazing margin on your cash flow. Why not go and open a 3rd and a 4th and a 5th place now that you have that? And so she was able to do it because she was in that phase. She fired herself 3 times to be in that phase.
Do is it called Nirvana? That sounds like Nirvana
Oh,
to
I don't
be
believe
at
in
this.
Nirvana.
That's what I'm saying. Do you have a name for that phase? A official title for it?
Yeah, the board of advisor. You are
Okay, so it goes
you're an
Jedi and then Board of
advisor.
Advisors.
Yes, so those are the 5 phases, and it's really great place where it's a obviously it's a journey. It doesn't happen overnight. Um, in
There
any
are
good
ways to
company.
speed up these journeys, by the way. Hiring somebody who has a teaching company like you do, hiring a business to outsource assistants or someone to support you, hiring someone to consult you big picture so you can get out of your own way and find out where to even start. It sounds like Um, there are ways to expedite it, but even if you have the best team and you're fully committed, full throttle, it still is a process, and it's such a worthwhile process, right?
Absolutely. And you hit the right spot with with that. You have to hire. For sure you have to hire extra help. And having a virtual assistant is incredible.
Shame Shameless plug. It's all right. I mean, the
Yeah,
truth
it
is,
is.
I don't, I tell people, I'm like, you don't even have to hire Spark. You got to hire somebody. I'm happy to help. I'm passionate about it. That's why I started Spark, was not to start a business. It was to help people get out of their way. And so I just started helping that. And I was like, well, this is a business now. It was an accident. It was an accidental
Yeah, but
business.
because you experiment on your own. So for example, I've had two virtual assistants from the Philippines for 3 years. three
Yeah.
years wouldn't be where I am without them. So you have to. And we've worked with Sparks. Ariel worked with Sparks. And is it a plug? Yeah, for anybody who's listening to me, you can't do this alone. You can't. And this
Right.
is why I love also implementing AI system, AI employees within your company. And what and I'll give you an example. Our She's no longer a VA in our companies. She's not a virtual assistant. She's running the whole operation. So the employees are helping her. The virtual, the AI employees are helping her run her department so much better. So it's just the way we are at right now. So for anybody who's listening to us, there's more way to buy your time now and be with your children and be
Than
with your
ever
company.
before. Yeah. Than ever
Absolutely.
before. I would love to know a little bit about the way you're incorporating it. So I know, for Salon Cadence, welcome to share of how you're incorporating AI. I know you mentioned that you became very excited about this, and invested yourself fully in it. It's something that I'm likewise passionate about. I'm a voracious reader. And as I like to joke, well, this is really a subject you can't read about very well, can you? Because by the time something is in print, it's already outdated, when it comes to technology and the advances. By the same token, um, consuming everything I get my hands on and taking classes, I know that the type of thinking, the type of problem that is created in one industry is typically not solved by the thinking found in the same industry. And so I like to collaborate with people from other spaces, people who are, like you mentioned, Brown. I think it was Brown that you said, the robotics professor
Yeah.
that you got to know, and things
Yeah.
like that. Just getting to know people from totally um,
Hmm.
different areas of business. In fact, it was my friend who owned a construction business who said you
Yeah.
need to hire a virtual assistant, you need an admin assistant, an
Yes.
outsource. And so I went and sat and talked to him about all the things he does, which is totally unrelated to what I do, and learned and brought that into what I was doing. So anyway, that being said, I would love to know how you are, maybe teaching or helping the people that you work with utilize AI in their salon business, or what you see with an AI's function in salon operations. I know we use it at Spark. I know that we also are helping people develop their own GPTs and their own personas to run their businesses better. Um, that's invaluable, right? I'd love to hear more about how you're incorporating it.
Well, for one thing, in our company, so everything we teach, and remember, I want to make it very clear that we are not a coaching company. We have mentors, we have experts that implement uh, all the systems. So we have an ecosystem that we implement um, with you, all the system that you need to have in order to not be the key operator, the key employee in your company. So we literally implement all the system together. And with that, we implement also, um, we will teach you how to work with a VA. We'll teach you how to, and we literally implementing employees, AI employees within your system that actually can run the system and help your team really get that. So it's not just education, it's not just the why, it's literally let's get shit done. Let's get the work done together. So when you walk away, you have all of this, and your team have all of this to literally work with you. So in my
You're side by
company,
side, you're setting it up for them, getting them like setting up their employees, setting up what's happening, which is great, and then helping them put their tasks into it, and then having maybe a human virtual assistant operate and run those processes more or less.
right, and don't forget, we do have years and hundreds of businesses of data of successful people, and we have our expert and mentors that have been working on all of this together for a long time, that now will literally, it's not so much about just the employees that we put together, it's really creating that space and time of freedom, like true freedom, so you can work on develop your team, and you can work on that extra cash flow that you need to put in order to be able to to um, give your team what they really want to, that high nice salaries, that high nice compensation, that nice time off. All of that is what we do with you together. So it's not just mentorship, it is literally implementation. So if you can ask me, Ronit, what do you do? I would say, that time that we talked about, that important time that you need, not to have um, oh, let me just go have tons of margaritas. No, so you can scale, so you can grow more, so you can just have, if you in that space that you want to make two, $3 or $4 million, why? Because you want to take home 150, $200,000, $300,000 as an income, and you want to be able to provide your team a really nice wealth so they can have the same thing. So all of that requires time and the deep work. I mean, can you imagine? What if you had 10 hours extra a week to really work on your growth, to really just think, to write, all the things that you always wanted to do and you never find the time. And my hair looks like crap right now, but let me fix it.
Love
You
you.
know,
So you're so dang cute. And if you're not watching, if you're just listening, and she has the most gorgeous yellow dress on. I made her show it off because it's like just so cute, and yellow is amazing on you. Like that's so fun. Um, I that time and what you do with it, whatever you consider luxury. Um, I want to be outside as much as possible. I want to be with people that I love as much as possible, and I want to be walking my dog. Like that's what I want to do. I want to mountain bike. I want to hike. I want to be with my kids and my friends,
I love
and
it.
I want this. That's what I want to do with it. And whatever someone wants to do with their time is their business. But getting out of the way so you can have that time, and then to slow down enough to reinvest, to think about your future, your roadmap, and to allow the same luxury and freedom to the people that work within your organization is beautiful. Those kind of things, to take out 10 hours, maybe don't go into the office on a day in the middle of the week, or maybe not on Friday.
Yes.
Spend that time building your big concepts and your ideas and doing the big picture CEO work, the board of advisors or board of directors. What did you call it?
Board of advisor. Yeah, you
Board of
advise to your
advisors work.
lead team. So and
Yeah.
when
Get
you
out
come
of
to
your
the
way. Yeah.
get out of their way. Here's the thing:
Ashley.
in order to have what are the three key positions that you need to hire? So the very first thing that you need to fire yourself, other than the operator, you need to fire yourself from being the educator, the team developer. So you will need to have one member in your team that is totally devoted on training, education, onboarding, and continue developing your team. That's the first position to hire. The second position to hire, or you hire the operation, because if you're in between, so maybe you need to hire an operation coordinator first. You never want to hire operation director. You want to hire operation coordinator that is a strategic thinker. So you don't want to hire a doer. This is what's great to have the employees, the AI employees or the VA for doers, but you want to hire a strategic thinker, somebody that doesn't wait for you to tell them what to do. They actually have initiation and they take it over. So this is why when you get to phase 3, you got to let go in order to grow. See? And then so that's the first position, and operation. So let's just think about it. operation coordinator is going to be at least 70 to 120K a year. Director of education or an education or somebody who's going to move and develop your team, you can start them at 50K a year, but it can grow up to 100, 120 with a really good compensation and a bonus attached to it, right? So right there, you're looking at 200K on payroll. So if you have 200K on payroll, that is your lead team, they need to at least bring 4 times more than what they're getting paid for in execution. Do you see what I mean? So if that's the case and you want to take home 150K, now we're looking very close to 400, 500K. And now you have at least 5 or 10 team. Think about you want them. So this is why we want to get to be at 1 million and above. Does that make sense? It's really
Yes.
simple math. And for anybody who is listening and think about, oh, wait a second, that's what does she mean by that? It's really simple. It's like really say, here's how much I want to make. Here's how much money I want to be able to share with my team. This is what I'm looking to do for my team. So maybe you want to pay daycare. Maybe you want to build a daycare in your own programs. I mean, all those things needs to have a number to it, and then you have to reverse engineer to where you are and know exactly what will it cost you to run a phase 3 company. Does that make sense?
Yeah.
Is it?
Yeah. And it's
I'm
very
rambling
empowering
now
to
on
have.
money. It's my ecosystem that I love to be in, but that's really kind of like what you gotta plan.
I think that's great. And I think it's very helpful to for a business owner to consider that looking at the end, it's like going macro and then micro, zooming in and then going out for the panoramic, the big picture, and then getting really into the details again. Because being able to do that, it's what I've been able to do in my own salon space. I go because I like to, not because I'm needed there. And the time I just realized this shift, I feel like I don't know where I'm at, but I think I might be at that phase 5 now. But the shift that I've made feels very complete toward where the time I'm spending in both of my companies is almost entirely focused on big picture leadership, developing my leaders and the people who are leading my teams, and strategy and building a big picture concept and growth. I am not doing the discovery calls. I'm not doing the onboarding. I'm not doing the operations piece. I am communicating with the people who are doing that and giving them the support and building the ideas and then meeting with the people and connecting them who would create bigger partnerships and broader reach. I'm not doing one-on-one stuff with a client. I am doing a larger picture. And then it would be same with the salon. I go into the salon, it's to lead my team one-on-ones and it's to talk to my concierge lead. It's to talk to my salon director. It's to talk to the education lead, the person who's in charge of mentors, et cetera. So I'm coordinating all the people who are running my business and I am checking in on them at this point,
Mm.
versus doing all the work myself. And that's honestly a full-time job at this point. It's 2 full-time jobs, but not quite. I'm scaling down. And I think what I've noticed over the last 6 months is there are days, and I talked to my site director, Earl, who runs operations in the Philippines, and then my COO here in the States, Lucy, who are for my Spark team, not my salon team. And I'll even say, what should I be doing? I feel like I have too much downtime. Or
Oh,
it
that's so
started
funny.
off probably at Christmas time, maybe it was around Christmas time where I kind of was like, this feels weird. I don't have a crushing weight on my chest and this anxious feeling that there's something I should be doing. And so I said, what am I missing? Why do I feel relaxed? And what I realized was I now have leaders and pillars in place that are supporting that, like the
And
scaffolding
that's
around the business. So I'm
it's
not doing
such
it all anymore.
no, you're right. And it's such a good point to bring because when you get to phase 3, and this is a typical thing that happens when you get to phase 3, you suddenly have a lot of time and you really don't
Uh-huh.
know what to do with your time because you're so used to be as a structure on the do that suddenly when you have a team that is actually executing and driving your vision, suddenly you have that extra time and like what do I do? And this is a critical time where you start going back and start controlling again what your team is already doing better. So you're trying to just like, okay, I'll
Don't
have
do
that
that.
meeting. Don't
Don't
do that.
don't go
That
to that. See,
exactly.
keep over
Yeah.
here and just be like, why don't you tell me how things are going with your role? Like versus I'm just gonna get myself in there and
But
get
it's
more
difficult.
involved because
It's
well, we
difficult.
like to. We are meaning making creatures, and we do need a task, and we need work, and we need something meaningful that we're producing. But what I noticed is I had to settle into the discomfort because it was
Yeah.
very uncomfortable at first.
Yeah.
And then over a little bit more time, I realized now I have space to expand my thinking and to expand into the next thing, maybe the next door to walk through. You said every 10 years, but I like to compress time. So it might be every 3 or 4 years for me that I'm like, what door are we kicking open? But the truth is, realizing that my team has it handled so beautifully, I can rest in that. Now I can think about how do I make a better compensation plan or a bonus structure for somebody
Yes.
that I love?
Yeah.
Or what way can I connect more deeply with my community? Or how can I give my leaders within my teams or my team members a better picture and career roadmap? Things like that, where you
It's
can't do
in
that from a place of struggle or chaos.
No, no. And you're always going to have in life something that hits you and something that kick your bum. And you start feeling like, am I doing a good job? Is this the right thing? Am I good enough? Do they like me? Do they don't like me? Are they going to leave? Are they going to stay? You're always going to have that no matter what phase. Sometimes you feel really down and sometimes you feel really high. So you're always going to have that. Uh, may I suggest? Always invest in yourself. Go find out what your hormones levels are. If you have the hot and the cold, there's something to be said about that. Do you eat well? Do you exercise enough? All the stuff that we all hear, probably this is not news, but all that stuff helps you become less um, stress entrepreneur, because we're addicted
Yeah.
to work. We love working. It's not going to stop. And we are innovators. So we want to move into another thing that we want to grab. And many people always chase the shiny things. And at the end of the day, um, life is going to hit you just like it hit me when something I never shared with anyone. But in January of
I
this
would like
year,
to invite you to open up about that because this is perfect time to go into that if you're comfortable sharing
sure.
about that disruption.
Yeah, you're talking to somebody who wrote a book. I'm writing a book right now. You know, the second book. Um, we run events, we go to events, we're busy just like everybody. But this year, I got sick in January, and we had a really bad scare. I got it's hard to talk about it, but after 3 months of nonstop coughing, nonstop not sleeping at night, I they found out that I had nodules in my lungs, um, and it was like, what? I will never be sick. I will never die. I will always gonna be 40 years old. I always gonna have energy. I always gonna look amazing. What's going on? What's going on? And it was really scary. I literally couldn't do a lot of things. And the minute I would start talk, I would start coughing. Actually, when I got back from Thailand, I was really sick even then. So it was a process of my body just caving down, and I had to take 5 steps back and find out what's going on. And I actually got the wrong diagnose. And like, if I was gonna go under the table and get piss carves out of my lungs just to because somebody thought that if I do have cancer, it's stage 4. And suddenly your whole life seems to be a little bit different, and you start thinking different. And so that was 6 months of doing that. But I have a good team, and I have an amazing husband and good children, and I'm lucky that way. But there were a lot of things that I would start thinking: Am I good enough? Can I do it? Do I want to do it? What's going on? Why is it happening? What the hell? Um, but thank God, um, it's not cancer, but it doesn't mean that you're not going to get it. So you got to
Mhm.
think about that, right? I have the BRCA gene, which
Regardless, you are still having issues with lungs and with breathing and coughing. I can't imagine how overwhelming having that diagnosis, the scare, and everything off and on would be. And all of a sudden, how much money you're producing doesn't matter. your busy schedule, cancel all those meetings you think right now. If you think you're too important or too busy or too in demand to slow down to take that couple of extra hours a week to yourself, you don't want to wait to get your ass handed to you to have to be forced to pause everything. And you created a space for yourself to be able to address your health, which is incredible. Like you said, with your teams and your spouse and your support system.
I will say yes, but no. I would say that I wasn't good to myself for a year or 2 years. I really pushed myself and over pushed myself and did everything and more and double. I taste my own preaching, my own medicine, and yeah, and that's okay. It happens, right? It's just kind of like what happens. But um, I had a lot of great support, and it was scary. I literally, what I would say, what learning from it is, you never listen to one doctor. You have to listen to a few. You got to really be researching and checking, and thank God for Claude or ChatGPT, because I've learned a lot from that. And
Your research
yeah,
partner.
my research partners. So this came to a place where it teach you that you got to go back. You got to spend the time on your body. You got to spend time on your mind, and so you got to take that time to do the deep work and keep pushing. Be who you are, but also be kind to your body and be kind to your mind. So there you go. So
Yeah. Thank you for sharing that. And I'm so grateful that you are to the other side of it. And like you said, it doesn't mean forever and ever that you never have to worry about something again, but to appreciate your health and to nurture your body and to be just thoughtful and grateful of that is an invaluable takeaway, I think, for anyone listening, regardless of where they've put themselves in the 5 stages of where a business owner is. And that reminder, even though you've done it before and you've built multiple businesses, to be in the board of advisors, still
mm,
reminding yourself again, you know what I mean? So that's it. That's an incredible lesson. I would love, in wrapping up our show together in our time, I would love to know what being brazen and bold means to you.
grit and grace.
All right, starting up
And
with grit and grace. Say more.
grit, I would say grit and grace. And I would say be transparent always. Don't pretend to be what you're not. And for some reason, I imagining having magic sandals, right? And then you fly with them. They're just like, it's never ending. I feel like bold. Just go for it. Just go for it. Don't stop. Don't quit. Be fast. Be slow, and be true, transparent. Just transparent.
And that
That's what I'm
does
thinking of it.
require
It's a
an
great
absolute
new name.
level of it requires an absolute level of being brazen, to be completely radically honest and to be transparent. It takes so much courage for most people, and brazen can be considered an epithet, something that has a negative connotation typically. So, but the actual concept behind it is a form of fearlessness, and that would go along with that. Thank you for sharing. Thank you so much for your time spent today with our listeners. I'm sure many of them will gain so many beautiful insights from this. And if you're listening, don't wait to delegate. Don't wait to become an advisor to the people in your team who are capable. Get out of your own way. Build a team if you have a
Mm.
small independent space in some way, in some fashion, even if it's a fractional support, a virtual assistant. Find a way to get out of your own way and delegate. And Ronit has shared many beautiful ways. Will you please conclude by telling our listeners where they can find you, learn more from you, or work with you?
They can always come to saloncadence.com. They can find another site, ronitenos.com. They can also go to Instagram. It's Salon Cadence. That's the hashtag. And you can always email me at ronite@saloncadence.com.
Thank you so much. And thank you again for all the time that you spent with me offline in incredible conversations and friendship and connecting. Thank you so much. And thank you, everybody,
Heather,
for listening.
thank you, everyone. And Heather, thank you so much for having me here. We've done a lot of great things together, and I think the sky has no limit. So this is such a great show, and what you do is super important. And it's honored to be. It's honored to be here.